Hello, everyone. Good morning and Happy New Year. And I think at this moment, it's still uncertain how we're going to run the course, but the most important thing is stay healthy and stay safe. That's the most important thing for all of us. So today, my plan, I want to do two things today. Number one, I definitely want to go over all the administrative issues of the course and make sure all your answers are answered so you're clear about how we're going to move forward for this course for the next 13 weeks. And part number two, which will take about maybe 20 minutes or so, I would like to give you guys maybe some like a motivating examples about why this course was so foundational and so important. And upon graduating from this course, I think you will be ready. At least you got a foundation to solve many exciting problems. So that's something I would like to talk about in day one. And then, so one thing I want to emphasize, okay, that'll be the plan for today. And let me just say, first of all, and I haven't got any more information than you have. So the information that we have got is really the same. At the moment, according to the university, until January 31st, the course is going to be run online until, okay? After January the 31st, I simply don't know. Nobody knows at the moment. But at least this course was originally scheduled to be run in person, as you know, when you register for the course. But beyond January 31st, if we're lucky, if the current situation is improving, then we might go back to campus. If not, then we will stay online, right? But I think the current syllabus, the current design for the course, I think in some way it's flexible enough. So even in the case where we have to return back to campus beyond January 31st, I think we can still, we don't really have to impact your syllabus too much. I think we can definitely adjust very little just to accommodate the in-person activities. But anyway, so I think as soon as I got any information from the university, I'll confirm with you as well. But for now, let's assume the course is going to be run remotely, at least until January 31st. Okay, that's something I want to say first. That might be your biggest concern. Let's now run over the administrative issues and syllabus as part one. Okay, so I am your instructor. For those of you who may not have taken the course with me so far, I'm Jackie. That'll be the name I really prefer to be called. But feel free to call me Professor, Sir, and whichever title you might like. But Jackie will be the most preferred. Feel free. I'm quite informal when I deal with your concern or deal with your question. So you don't need to worry about being too formal. That's my point. All right, so throughout the course, if you got any concern about your personal learning, or you think you hear your colleagues speaking about some learning concern, you can feel free to get in touch with me. I'll see what I can do. Okay, and there will be a bonus opportunity for the entire class. I'm teaching both. I'm currently teaching section N and section Z, so I'll give both sections an opportunity to do some so-called like an informal. It's definitely informal and also anonymous midterm course survey during the reading week. And then if the participation rate is high enough, I'll give everybody a bonus point just to show my appreciation of getting your feedback. But I'll get in touch with you around the reading week. So that'll be something for everybody to participate. But throughout the semester, as I said, if you got any suggestion, please just reach out to me, either by email or speak to me in person, maybe over Zoom during the office hour, or make an appointment with me. Either way is okay. Okay. Right, in case you have not enrolled in the course yet, maybe you intend to, or maybe you are not currently in the waiting list, it will be your responsibility to email me as soon as possible, maybe after this session. Tell me your name, student number, and passport York ID, and I'll add you to the e-class for the course, so you will be able to get access to maybe the tests and also the assignment instruction later. I'll mention my email on the syllabus in a moment. You'll definitely see my email. Okay. Typically, I try to be very responsive to email if I'm beside my computer. But if I am not, then you may have to wait. But I'll try to be as responsive as possible. Right. So definitely, if you really intend to enroll in the course, assume that you will eventually get in. So you want to make sure you keep up with all the materials like everybody else. Okay. There will be no extension for any assignments or maybe tests. Right, so just a very friendly note about writing email to me. I think since a big part of this course is going to be run remotely, so definitely the best way to reach out to me will be by email. Let's have some protocol. Okay, I'm quite informal, as I said, so you don't need to worry about being too formal, but I would say courtesy will be much appreciated. So when you write email to me, just watch out your tone. That'll be very much appreciated. But anyway, so far most of my students are just very polite, which I really appreciate. Anyway, I'm not gonna waste your time. You can read the slides to see some example. And about the course information. And guys, by the way, if you got any questions, feel free to interrupt me either by open up your mic or maybe type on the chat. Either way, that's okay. I don't mind interruption in general. For the course information, there is a single e-class site. For those of you who have received the announcement from me through e-class, I'm pretty sure you know where it is. But let me show you very quickly. Okay, the e-class. And, by the way, for the e-class, so these are the information you will be able to find in the e-class. Okay, let me just go over it quickly. So this is the e-class site for both section N and section Z, right? So both sections will be taught consistently. So don't worry about any issue related to fairness. It will be taught fairly to both group of students. So there's a course announcement over here, but no, typically you should just receive an email as soon as I post the announcement. But I would suggest, to be safe, maybe every once in a while, just log into e-class and check the course announcement just to make sure you don't miss anything. Okay. All the important information or communication will be through the course announcement. Okay. And study materials, the main sites for accessing the study materials like lecture recordings, slides, notes, or any example questions, or any interesting links, it should be through this site, which is public domain. I'll show you that site in a moment. And that's just the link for the Q&A, which you already know from today. All right, and there will be more topics added to the e-class later. For example, instructions for your programming assignments, and also links to your written tests, and also links to your programming tests, and eventually maybe the exam, assuming that we might have to remain remote for this course. Anyway, more will follow. Okay, but it's good for today. All right, so that's about what you can find in the e-class. Okay. And let me go on. Of course, bottom line, please check your email regularly, right? Otherwise, you might just miss the important information. And what would be the required study materials is mainly this site over here, right? So it's very easy to go. Just go to the EECS2011.ca. You can simply Google for Jackie. So you can definitely get the first hit. You can go to my website. And then you can go under teaching, under lectures. You can see 2011 winter 22. Okay. And you can see this is the site over here. All right, I see one question over here. Are the assignments the same as labs from EECS 2030? I assume you actually took a 2030 with me. The quick answer is yes. But for those of you who didn't take 2030 with me, don't worry about it. I'll definitely make sure I explain the formats for assignments and programming tests very well, assuming nothing. So you don't need to worry, okay? All right, so that's the 2011 website over here. That's the main study site. It's public domain. You don't need any PPY, like a Passport York login, right? So we got links over here. So the first one is the office hour link. I will announce my office hour on the syllabus in just a moment. And the office hour, there'll be one link. And then for the weekly Q&A, there will be weekly Q&A very quickly, but I'll talk about the exact schedule in a moment. It's going to be weekly Q&A starting from next week. Will be Wednesday and also Thursday. Wednesday from 4 p.m. to 5:30, and also Thursdays from 8:30 to 10, like a current time, right? So this week is very special. I just want to get started with the syllabus as soon as possible. But starting from next week, we only meet over Zoom on Wednesday and Thursday. All right. But I will show it to you in writing in the syllabus as well. And some background study over here. Two things over here. Number one, both are optional. Okay. So number one is I highly recommend, for those of you who didn't take any earlier course with me, I recommend you actually try to store your maybe programming work, any side projects or any assignments or any extra practice you do in this course. You can store that in a private repository on the GitHub. So later on, once we finish the course, you can make it public and then can show off what you have done, what you have achieved in the course. That might actually help your maybe future maybe career or application. That'll be number one. And number two, in this course, we assume, of course, that you successfully completed 2030. So we assume proficiency about object-oriented programming in Java. For those of you who may not feel confident about OOP, you're more than welcome to speak to me during my office hour. Just reach out to me. We can chat. But in the first place, I would suggest you can go to my 2030 for 2021. Okay, that's for last semester. Over there, you can see the complete list of study material, lecture recording, notes, and slides, and you can choose the relevant topics which you find yourself maybe a little bit weak on those topics. You can definitely catch up, right? It will be your call. I simply just cannot repeat the entire 2030 in this course. It will not be fair to others. And your programming assignments and also your programming test will assume certain Java proficiency about OOP. But before each test, I will definitely give you some preparation guide to tell you exactly what you need. But I would suggest in the very beginning of the semester, about the beginning 2 or 3 weeks, that will be the time you are more free to actually do some extra catch up. So I would suggest take a look at this 2030 website to really look at any topics that you don't feel comfortable and do the exercises. All right. So that'd be my suggestion for the background study. Okay, let me go back to 2011. And this part over here is about the documents that we're talking about today, this part over here. And you can definitely click on the course syllabus, which I'm going to go over in just a moment. Okay, and then we got the slides, which I'm currently presenting. And also we got weekly schedule and semester calendar. I'll go over each one of them eventually. Okay, and this table over here is going to contain the weekly study materials. In principle, I will release the weekly lectures on Wednesdays, which will be tomorrow. Okay, so your week 1 lecture will start to be available from early tomorrow. Okay, and then you will just have to take about a week to actually study at your own pace. That will give you lots of flexibility. And then after that, after you study the lecture, we will have a Q&A section for you if you want to ask any questions. Okay, I'll speak more about the Q&A section. Okay. All right, so one question here. Do we have to have good foundation in coding for this course? Yes, indeed. Because remember, one of the prerequisites for this course is EECS 2030, right? Let me write it down explicitly for everybody. Okay, over here. So for EECS 2011, which is the course that you're taking at the moment, assumes EECS 2030, and I know you guys actually took an EECS 1021 earlier, right? So given that these 2 courses have been successfully completed, definitely we assume proficiency in Java. If you got any concern about your background for Java, I would say reach out to me as early as possible, and then I may suggest maybe some extra background reading for you. All right, that's something I want to make clear on day 1. Right, so definitely in this course, since 2030 is one of the prerequisites, we definitely assume coding ability in Java. That's why we got programming assignments, and also we got programming tests. And also in the exam and also in the test, we might also test you some knowledge about Java as well. Right, it's a fair game. Guys, do you have any question up to now? Anyone? All right, hearing none, seeing none. Let me now go. Excuse me. Let me now go on. All right, so that's about the study site you want to really access regularly. All right, let me go back to the slides. Okay, I see another question here from John. Can we attend other section for Q&A? Yes, indeed. And actually, you know what, John, let me delay this the answer. You will see exactly what I meant. I think it's very flexible. For Q&A, you can attend either the one on Wednesday or the one on Thursday. And for the programming test or written test, also as well. But I'll show you precisely what I meant. Okay, bear with me. And the course syllabus is also posted on this website for the study site over here. Over here, you can see the course syllabus over here. You can click on that. It's ready over here. Notice that the last updates, updated dates is January 10th. According to the university, I have up to 2 weeks to maybe make some revision, hopefully just minor revision to the syllabus. So until the 23rd of January. If there's anything I make changes to the syllabus, I'll definitely let you know explicitly. But I don't imagine so. But if that's really the case, I'll definitely let you know. But as of now, that's pretty final for the syllabus. Okay. All right, let's now go back to the slides, and let's now go over the course syllabus. All right. Let's now the course syllabus. It's actually contain many sections over there. I'll definitely go over every section. However, there's certain section there. I think the exact details, I'll refer you to read them. I don't need to waste your time. Actually, just to read read out exactly what's written. But I'll give you some idea about how important they are for each one of them. All right. The first one is about course policy. Okay, this one here, I'm gonna let you read it, but I'll just point out the important stuff you want to watch out for. So number one is about plagiarism. Okay, for those of you who actually took any earlier courses with me, I'm very serious about academic honesty. So every programming assignments, every programming test, every written test, and also exam, every one of them is supposed to be individual work. And we do plagiarism check after every submission. And we definitely don't want, since we disallow any collaboration. So if we identify any suspicious submission, we report to Lasan and let it handle the cases. So, but guys, just do your own work. Before the due dates for the assignments, before any test, I'm more than happy to make myself available to help you. Do the work, and then you should be okay for the assessment, right? Don't cut the short corners. That's my advice to you. Okay. Okay, about plagiarism, please read it. And then the second part is just about the deadlines are going to be stringent, right? So there will be a specific time frame you're supposed to take the written test, the programming test, and also there's a particular deadline for submitting your assignments, right? That's that's kind of expected, right? Everything has to be done by the exact deadline. But of course, I'll make the deadline very explicit and very clear to you. Okay, there should be no confusion. All right, and also no teamwork. Everything is going to be done individually. No teamwork. Okay, and also for late enrollment, for those of you again, if you haven't really enrolled into the course, please reach out to me. And then before you actually got formally enrolled, you should assume eventually you will get in. So you want to catch up. You want to catch up with all the work. Okay. All right. Good. All right. Hopefully you're okay so far. That's about course policy, right? And the next one is about academic integrity. Well, that's basically kind of related to what I just said, right? I'll let you read about some additional detail about academic honesty for lab. Well, actually for this course we don't have scheduled lab, but definitely we got assignments, okay? And also we got written test over here. I'll let you read the exact detail, but of course the bottom line, no collaboration. Okay, for the programming assignments and also any of the tests. Okay, and especially this part over here give you some general guidance about how you can protect yourself and also protect your friends. Right, make sure you don't cross a boundary, please. All right. All right, I'm going to assume for section 1 on course policy and section 2 on academic honesty, you actually will read through and then make sure it's clear to you. If you got any clarification needed, feel free to reach out to me, right? Rather than when it's too late. All right. I see a little discussion over here about when this course may become in person. We simply don't know. I wouldn't really tell you my personal feeling, but I would say at this point, we simply don't know. We have to wait until sometime before January the 31st. Hopefully the university will let us know sooner rather than later. Other than that, there's no more information I can give. Okay. Okay, let's see here. From Dove, will there be a brief review on? Will there be a brief review of some of the newer concepts we learned in EECS 2030? What do you mean, Dove? What do you mean the newer concept? You mean something that we cover in 2030, or you mean something that we're going to cover newly in 2011? I'm not too sure what you meant. Dove, you want to clarify a little bit so I can answer you better? Oh, things that we cover near the end of the course. Okay, so well, it depends, right? I think I cannot assume everybody took 2030 with me. For example, in my case, when I taught 2030, at the end, the last topic we covered was recursion. Okay, I think recursion is a very important topic for this course for sure as well. but I'm not going to teach recursion from scratch, since in 2030 at the bottom line you have learned about the very basics of recursion. I think what I will do instead, maybe during the Q&A, maybe I'll bring some additional maybe recursion problems and maybe study together with everybody. That'll be one thing I can do. And number two, since I already referred you guys to actually the to the 2030 lecture, from my course, from my class last semester. In that case, if you really got any doubts about recursion, you can feel free to review them. Or if you study them and got any doubts, reach out to me. I think that's the best you can do. Okay, but to really explicitly review the concept taught from 2030 in the weekly lecture may not be the case, since we got quite a bit to cover. But if really necessary, if the entire class is feeling very uncomfortable about a particular concept, I'll be more than happy to actually go over them. But you guys can just let me know, right? Good, very good. But guys, let me tell you a very important tip for this course, okay? I think we are not going to cover recursion until roughly week number 4. Okay, for the first 3 weeks, we'll cover some math. We'll cover maybe some. We'll cover definitely some very fundamental data structure called linked list, and we'll cover some easy data structure called stacks and queues, and then we go to recursion. Okay, so I would say I'll try to give you guys maybe some suggestion. Maybe over the weekend I will organize something to give you guys. But recursion is very important. Especially later after the reading week, we're going to talk about a very, very heavy topic called trees. Especially we're going to talk about general trees, binary trees, balanced binary trees, and also how we can adjust the balance for tree and doing the various operation on tree. All those need recursion. All right, so I think it will be your safest bet to really try to review whatever recursion you have learned from your earlier 2030, either with me or with other instructor. Okay. Okay, let me take a look. From Cheyenne. For those who are not familiar with OOP, do I recommend to review 1021 or 2030? Okay. Okay. Let me say this. Okay. Good question. Again, guys, I think I will try to also make an announcement maybe over the weekend to everybody, but let me just tell you right away so you can do some extra work, proactive work if you wish. Again, OOP is assumed for this course. I cannot emphasize more. Okay, so there are two things you can do, which I also actually mentioned this in the first week lecture, but let me just say that right away. Okay, if you go to the 2011 website over here, right? First of all, if you go under the background section over here, first of all, you can click on 2030 over here. So this part here is just the weekly breakdown topics for 2030. You can see the relevant ones you want to review. That's number one. Number two, under the 2030 over here, you can see I have especially week number 1. Okay, so week number 1 over here, you can see I got some review tutorial. So this review tutorial is on week 1 and week 2 in 2030, which I try to kind of review from scratch about how you're supposed to do OOP in Java, how you can create classes from scratch, how you can create attributes, methods, and how you can use JUnit test cases. JUnit testing is also required for this course. So I would suggest your safest bet, maybe start with this particular tutorial video. I think that was very, very self-contained. I got, 2 parts. I forgot the total time, maybe about 4 hours or so. I think you can afford the time in the beginning of the course before you're getting too busy. It's really optional. If you're feeling confident about OOP, you don't need to be bothered. Okay, right? So Shahan, I think that's clear to you. Does it help? Awesome, good. But guys, if you got any confusion at any point, reach out to me. It's always good to ask. All right, don't struggle too much with the problem yourself for too long. Can I okay, can I show you guys where to find that review section? Review. Okay, sure. Let me start from scratch. So this is 2011, right? 2011 over here. And then you go under background study over here, and then click on 2030. Okay, click on that. So now I'm in 2030 last semester. Okay, And then under week number 1 and 2 over here, this first 2 rows, and then you will see there is a YouTube video playlist. If you click on that, so that's the breakdown for the tutorial. I think if you can go over this part 1 and part 2 tutorial, that should give you a very fair and thorough review on the basics of OOP. But that one there does not cover inheritance, and also it does not cover the more advanced stuff that's actually covered later in the 2030. For those part, you have to maybe look at the main website for 2030, right? For other topics, right? Mainly just navigate this site yourself. It's actually quite self-contained, quite straightforward. If you got any trouble, you can let me know. Awesome, good. Guys, please don't be shy to ask questions. It's always good to clarify, all right? Okay, so I think we should go on to syllabus, right? Okay, let's now go on to syllabus. All right, for syllabus over here, okay, good. Okay, I already introduced myself, and this is my email, jackie@eecs.yorku.ca, right? That's the most efficient way to reach out to me. As I said before, I try to be as responsive as possible if I'm beside my computer. In case I'm not, you may have to wait a little bit, but usually should be within hours. You should really hear back from me. Okay. And my office hour is going to be 2 to 3 p.m. Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday. Okay, so that means starting from today. However, guys, for today, sorry for the little bit change for today. I'm going to announce that also later this afternoon in the e-class, just for today. For today, I have some meeting which I really cannot shift to other places. Today will be 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. just for today, right? And from tomorrow, from this Thursday, we're going to resume the normal office hour, right? Whenever there's any change, I'll let you know on the e-class, right? For today, if you want to really speak to me, 3 to 4 p.m. Where can you find a Zoom link for my office hour? Again, go back to the 2011 here, right? The website, the first link, Zoom office hour. All right. Good. And we have already seen the e-class site, which is good. And for the study materials, we have already gone through this site over here. And this is the 2030 website, which I also guided you guys through briefly. If you want to look into it more and ask questions, let me know. See me in the office hour. Okay. And what about textbook? There will be no required textbook for this course. I tend to make very detailed slides to help you guys study, and also I go over my own slides in the lecture recording. Also, I try to do as many examples as possible together with you in the lecture recordings. So you don't need to worry about buying a textbook. However, for those of you who are really a book lover, okay, I have 2 books to recommend. So one is Data Structure and Algorithm in Java. Okay, that's a good book. Another one is Algorithms. So this one here, it's also a very interesting book. It's definitely cover data structure and algorithm, and it also has an associated website over here. So that's actually the instructors who actually wrote the textbook. They also recorded their lecture for each chapter in the book. Well, you can compare their teaching style to me. I think different, right? So that will be to your advantage if you want to go over some of the lectures. It's up to you, all right? Okay, here's a question here. Would the office hour still be held on Zoom after returning to the campus? Yeah, I think that's from Masato. So I think maybe let me not say for now, since we don't know yet whether we'll return to the campus or not. I think as soon as the university actually announce the plan for sure, then I will actually let everybody know. I'll let everybody know if there's any change on the current plan. But until January the 31st, everything is going to be online. After that, I will confirm. All right. Okay, so another question here. Let's say. Okay, good. Let's say Vessel. So our Tuesday and Thursday lectures are just Q&A sections, and we will get the lecture on Wednesday. Almost right. Okay. Only for this week, we are meeting on Tuesday because I want to talk about the syllabus as soon as possible. Starting from the second week, we only meet on Wednesday. We only meet on Thursday. Beg your pardon. Starting from the second week, we only meet on Thursday. However, there will be another Q&A on Wednesday for section N as well, but you're more than welcome to attend. Okay, and then yeah, you're right. The lectures will be released on every Wednesday, so it will be tomorrow for your week number 1 lecture. Okay. Yeah, just forgive me if sometimes I mention the dates maybe wrong. Just point out to me since I'm teaching 2 sections plus another course, so I can get a little bit confused sometimes. I try to be as clear as possible. All right. And what will be the available help resources for you guys? So there will be office hour. And if you really cannot make it to the office hour, please just send me an email and then we can make an appointment. That's not a problem. And since there is no scheduled lab, so I think it might be good to maybe have some regular office hour also held by the TA. So you got maybe some additional resources. Let me coordinate with the TAs sometime this week, and then I will announce maybe some convenient office hour for you. Maybe I'll do some e-class survey to see which times you guys might prefer. Okay, so the office hour will be shared by both section N and section Z. So I'll do some survey, and then maybe the office hour can start to occur either week 2 or week 3, right? So you definitely get additional help for your assignments. You're not alone, all right? And then we'll get the weekly Q&A. As I said before, the weekly Q&A is going to start from week number 2, and then it's going to be Wednesday and also Thursday. Wednesday, section N, Thursday, section Z. However, feel free to drop by both of them. You can feel free. Or if you find the time, like a Wednesday, 4 p.m. also works pretty good for you. You can definitely go only there. That's fine too. To be honest with you, this current time, 8:30, may not be very ideal for everybody. It's kind of very early. But anyway, so I will try to show up in time. And if you guys really find that too early, you can definitely go to the Wednesday Q&A instead. That's okay. All right. All right, that's about a prerequisite. Let me point out to you. So definitely 2030 is a prerequisite, right? I cannot stress them even more. Next one. About course description and also course learning outcomes, let me try to maybe go over them maybe as we go over the weekly lectures. So simply talking about exactly what's going to be covered and what's going to be achieved, you may not be able to appreciate that too much at the moment. So what I tend to do usually is for every weekly lecture, in the beginning of the module, I will mention what the learning outcomes are for that particular module. So I think that might be a better way to actually tell you what's going to be achieved. But anyway, you can feel free to read them yourself if you wish. All right. Next one. How is the course going to be evaluated? That's also important, right? I think in some way, since we don't have any scheduled labs for this course, right? There's simply no. As opposed to maybe your earlier course like a 1021 and also 2030. So overall, the course might feel slightly less intense compared with your 2030 or 2021 since we don't have scheduled lab. So there will be fewer assessment. However, you want to be careful. You want to make sure you do steady study every week. You don't really want to wait until maybe only 1 week or a few days before the assignment is due, or maybe before the test is due to occur. That's not the way to go, right? Anyway, so there will be 3 programming assignments, 5% each. There will be 2 programming tests, 10% each. Okay. There will be 2 written tests taking place in E-class, and 10% each. And also there will be an exam, which will be cumulative, meaning that it's going to cover everything in the course, and then it will be 45%. How will the assignment look like? Coding, mainly coding. If there's any additional written parts for the assignment, you'll definitely see that in the instruction. Yeah, but mostly coding. Is Math 1090 a prerequisite for this course? I believe so. Yeah, I believe so. Let's see. Yeah. Oh, you know what? Actually, I don't see that as in the official prerequisite. Oh, maybe 1019. Maybe that's 1019. That's a prerequisite. All right. I can check the register website just to make sure. Okay, guys. Any question about the grading scheme over here? At least you know what's gonna. I will show you the calendar about when exactly these assessment will occur, but they're somehow spread out over the entire semester. Okay, yeah. Anyway, good. All right, section N, section Z, it will be taught both by me, so it will be taught consistently and fairly. So you don't need to worry about maybe there's any advantage to section N or any advantage to you guys. No, okay, it's gonna be the same. And what about expected workload, right? By following Lasson's recommendation, okay, Lasson recommends for every credits, there should be about 3 to 4.5 hours of work, including all the reading, including the attendance of any lecture, and etc. Right? So for the 3 course for 2011, so you can expect on average between 9 to 13.5 hours of work. Okay, and then what should that consist of? So we got a weekly lecture recordings, roughly 3 hours. Okay. And then optionally, you can attend any or both of the Q&A sections. You can also attend my office hour. That'll be optional. And also TA hours as well. And of course, outside the class, you have to make sure you spend time completing the assignments and also do the study for the lectures and for the test, right? But this is a very foundational course. And some instructor, including myself, we would like to consider this course as an interview training course. Meaning that the topics that we cover over here will be very fundamental for your programming interview for some job application at some point later. Maybe later you want to apply for co-op, you want to apply for some real part-time job. In that case, I think you will definitely have to undergo some maybe a programming interview. I think what we're going to cover in this course will be very beneficial for you, for sure. Okay, we got some clarification needed over here from Masato. Wednesday study materials released, correct? Wednesday lecture recordings released. And Thursday Q&A for section Z, yes, but you can feel free to also attend the Wednesday Q&A at 4 p.m. as well. And Tuesday only when there is a test. For the final part, that's the slight flexibility to that. When a test is going to occur, right? You can take the test either during the Tuesday section Z class time, which will be from 8:30 to 10, or you can take it earlier on the Monday during the section N class time, which will be from 4 p.m. to 5:30. It's actually specified precisely on the syllabus later. I'll show it to you. Okay. All right. So here, so there are no live lecture. Yes. In terms of the weekly coverage for the course subjects, all the lectures will be pre-recorded. You know, for really giving everybody the maximum flexibility, so you can really distribute all the 3 hours of contents maybe to each day to really study maybe steadily. That could be to your advantage. The only live session we have is on Wednesday and Thursday to go over maybe questions you might have. And also for the Wednesday and Thursday, which I haven't mentioned yet, for this year, I want to try something new. Since this course is so fundamental, I think it's really important to really give you guys opportunity to practice problem solving as much as possible. So to really encourage you to really attend the Q&A, I will bring some additional interview-like problems to really discuss with you, and then we can actually go over the problem and maybe try to go over some logic for the solution, and then we can implement partially the solution, and then to motivate you to go beyond, the Q&A. All right, that's something we'll do. All right, good. Guys, any more questions until now? Any more? Everybody's okay? Okay, seeing none, hearing none, let me go on. The next section is about how the letter grade is going to be calculated. It's going to be standard calculation, right? So I'm pretty sure you guys know very well. For example, the standard cutoff for A plus will be 90, right? And also the standard cutoff for A will be 80, and etc. Just standard. Eventually, you will receive some row mark score, which will be the weighted sum of all the grading units in this course. I already mentioned the grading scheme, and then the row mark score, actually it should be out of 100. Beg your pardon, it should be out of 100. Okay, and then once you get your row mark score, oh, beg your pardon, yeah, I'm confusing myself. For every, let me make it clear again. Every assessment, okay, let's say, for example, assignment number 1. It may be that for assignment number 1, the maximum score is 81. It's the maximum. Let's say you receive maybe 59. The actual score you actually receive, right? You can see the row mark score is not necessarily 100. So what we're going to do is we're going to calculate the percentage you receive for that particular assessment. So that'll be 59 divided by 81. And then how much does A1 weights? A1, let's say, for example, 5%. So that's going to be the 5%. So we do the multiplication. So this will be, you can think about more like a row mark score for A1. And then, so we're going to do the weighted sum of such score for every assessment. Eventually, you're gonna get a final row mark, which will be out of 100. All right, that's the math. All right, you can take a look at this section over here. It's rather straightforward, nothing tricky here. All right. Okay, so that's about the calculation for your marks. Semester calendar. Okay, let's now talk about the semester calendar. So you can definitely see a better version, like a more zoom in version of this. Let me show you where you can get it. Go back to the 2011 website over here, and then click on the semester calendar over here. All right, so that's the semester calendar. You can take a look. Okay, now let's go over it together. One question here from Sebastian. Which programming environment is preferred for the programming test? I think it will be required when you actually submit your programming assignments and when you submit your programming test, it must be done through Eclipse, because we expect you to really export your programming project as a zip file, and that zip file should really conform to the formats that's required by Eclipse. So Eclipse, that's a short answer. Okay, but if you want to do any side projects, any additional exercises that's not going to be graded, you can feel free to actually do other IDE like IntelliJ, for example. But for assessment purpose, assignments and programming tests, it must be Eclipse. We're gonna fix one IDE, so that'll be Eclipse. All right. But if you got any, no problem. If you got any trouble using Eclipse, maybe that's not what you use. Maybe in the earlier experience, you can definitely go over that review tutorial series in 2030 I mentioned. In that one there, I actually taught about how to use Eclipse. Okay. And from Vincent, is the submission process the same as 2030? Well, if you took 2030 with me, the submission process will be the same. For those of you who didn't, don't worry. I'm going to make the submission process very clear to you when I release the instruction. Okay. All right, let's now go back here. Okay, let's now talk about the calendar over here. Okay. Overall, you can see we got 6 weeks before the reading week. Okay, so let me just do it again. We got 6 weeks before the reading week. And we got 6 more weeks after the reading week. Okay, that's the general layout. And we got assignment number 1, assignment number 2, and assignment number 3. Assignments are usually released on Fridays. So for example, assignment number 1, you will be expected to do it on week 4 and week 5. So it will be released around over here on the Friday before. So you got about 2 weeks to complete the assignments. Okay, and similarly for assignment 2 and assignment 3. Okay. So as I said before, it's not really like a weekly lab exercises like what in 2030, since there's no scheduled lab. Okay, and for your lectures recordings, they will be released on Wednesdays. Right, you can see tomorrow, week number 1, week number 2, week number 3, and etc. Right. Notice one detail over here. You can see after the lectures released, you got about 1 week before the corresponding Q&A section occur. Right. So you can see after week number 2 is released on this particular Wednesday, you got about a week until over here before its corresponding Q&A section occur, right? That makes sense. So that really gives you some advantage of studying that with some flexibility. But I would say, well, Even if you decide to only watch the 3 hours of week number 2 lecture before the Q&A, that will be fine too. It's really a matter of style. But you definitely don't want to do the following, right? Let me show you what. Written test number 1, if you take a look over here, let me show you explicitly. This is written test number 1. You can see at this point, we would have already finished week number 4 contents already. So you can expect for written test number 1, we will cover the contents from week number 1, 2, 3, 4, right? 1, 2, 3, and 4. You definitely don't really want to wait until this weekend over here and watch all the 12 hours of videos. It's not the way to go, right? Hopefully you wouldn't do that, okay? And another common question is, let's say for written test number 1, is it going to cover the week number 5 video that's just released? The answer is no, right? Just to be fair, because after I release the week number 5 lecture, I will definitely expect you to study that still, but you can still ask the questions before you got assessed, right? It's a fair game, all right? And I think for programming test 1 and also for programming test number 2, for these 2 programming tests, I haven't decided yet exactly the subject to cover, but I'm gonna make it clear to you in at least 1 week before the test, so you can definitely get prepared. Okay. So roughly speaking, for written test number 1, is going to cover the first 4 weeks of the content, roughly speaking. Okay. And then for your written test number 2, because up to this point, we would have already finished week number 8 lecture. So you can expect that week written test number 2 is going to cover week number 5, 6, 7, or 8. But it could be that I might decide to cover maybe some earlier weeks if I want to. But of course, I'll let you know earlier enough so you can definitely get prepared. All right. But just in principle, written test 2 is just going to cover 5, 6, 7, and 8. And of course, the exam is going to occur somewhere between April 12th and April 29th. I think the registrar office usually will announce the exam dates after the reading week. As soon as I know, as soon as I'm confirmed about the exam dates, I'll let you guys know. But I think the official recommendation is don't try to commit to anything large in this period. So because otherwise, if you just tell me that you're going to travel, or maybe you got some other plan so that you cannot really make it to the exam, usually we don't accommodate for that kind of a reason, because you are supposed to reserve a block of time during this period just in case the exam might clash, right? All right, I believe I covered everything on the semester calendar. I think it's pretty straightforward. Do you guys got any questions about the semester calendar? I haven't talked about exactly the dates yet, but I will. I like the exact time for the test. I will in a moment. All right. One more thing I want to say in the syllabus, which is very, very important. Let's take a look. So this is under the semester calendar section. Okay, over here. Okay. Each written test will take 30 minutes. Each programming test will take 90 minutes. Okay. And first of all, for written test, and also for programming test, okay, let me say the following. There is no 24-hour submission period. Okay, notice that no. Okay, so what's going to happen is you have the choice. For you guys from section Z, you can either let's say for written test number 1, right? For written test number 1, you can see it takes place in this particular Monday and Tuesday over here. You can either take it on the Tuesday during your class time, which will be the Tuesday between 8:30 and 9 for half an hour. Or if you want to take it earlier, no problem. You can actually take the earlier day on Monday over here, which will be the time for session end. That will be from 4 p.m. to 5:30. So you can take it either here for 30 minutes or here for 30 minutes. But those 30 minutes are within the scheduled class time for either section. You can take either one, but not both. I hope that's clear to everybody. And similarly, for programming test 1, let's just make one more example. For programming test 1, you can see it's going to happen on this particular Monday and also Tuesday, right? So now you have a choice. Either you can choose to take on the Monday between 4 p.m. to 5:30, or you can take it on the corresponding Tuesday between 8:30 and 10. Nowhere between. So that's why I said there's no 24-hour submission period. We only take your test during the scheduled class time, either session N or session Z, Monday or Tuesday. Okay, and for Wednesday and Thursday, it's always Q&A. Okay, guys, I hope that's clear to everybody. Any confusion, any clarification needed, please say it now. And I'll sip some water at the moment. Okay, looks like everybody is clear. Okay, that's good about semester calendar. Let's now move on. About a weekly schedule over here, right? Hopefully this will be the final puzzle for the picture, right? Final piece for the puzzle. Here we got office hour. You can see we got 2 to 3, Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday, right? First of all. And then for the Q&A, you can attend either the Wednesday Q&A from 4 to 5:30, or attend the Q&A on Thursday from 8:30 to 10, either one, or both. I wouldn't suggest none, because, well, unless you really feel so confident about your understanding of the lecture contents, right? And for some Monday and Tuesday, for example, specifically, this particular Monday and Tuesday, this particular Monday and Tuesday, this Monday and Tuesday, and this Monday and Tuesday. For these 4 pairs of Monday and Tuesday, we will take the test. And you have the choice to either take it here or take it here. Okay? If you're not so confident that you can wake up so early at 8:30, so please take this one here. All right? All right, guys, any questions about the how the course is going to be run? A side note, in case if the university decides after January the 1st, if we want to return back to campus in person, in case, okay, hypothetically, then I think a possible modification could be, we can say for the Q&A, we can maybe do it in person, and then I'll record the Q&A section and make it available. That could be one way. And also for the test, not too sure if I want to take it in the classroom. I'm not too sure. So that's why let's not worry too much about exactly how things will be adjusted if we do return to campus. At least for the first month, it's going to be remote. Okay. All right. Finally, it's about the weekly topics. It's only tentative. I'm actually recording all the lectures from scratch every week, so it's definitely fresh just for you guys this term. So the topics over here sometimes maybe either move around, or maybe some topics might be added, some topics might be removed. So just roughly speaking, these topics will be what we have to cover throughout the semester. Okay. If there's any drastic change on the topics, I will let you know. Okay, so that's about the syllabus. Do you guys have any questions related to syllabus before I move on? Anybody?
Sorry, will the Q&A sections be recorded?
Yes, the Q&A session will be recorded. However, I would say try to really make it, if you can, really. I can tell you why. Because every week you are going to receive quite a bit of video, resources from me. The 3 hours of the lectures for sure. That's for sure required. But for the Q&A, you're gonna receive about 2 videos from me, like a 1.5 hour for Wednesday and 1.5 hours for Thursday. So if you even if the recordings will be made available to you, but to really watch them offline yourself might be much more difficult than why don't you just attend the section and then participate. That would be my recommendation. But anyway, so it will be recorded. Yes. Okay, any other questions? Excuse me. All right, hearing none, seeing none. Let's now move back to the slides. All right, so just about accommodation. So if you guys got an official letter from the school, so please get in touch with me as soon as you can, and I'll be more than happy to arrange set the arrangements for you. Okay, so please get in touch with me. Okay, so I think the next few slides, I just want to give you guys a little bit more like a mindset and some tips about succeeding in this course. Okay, quickly. Okay, so as I said before, this course can be treated as like a training course on programming interviews, right? And many of you guys will actually become a software developer or software engineer, especially since you're doing an engineering degree. You may even want to be licensed as a like a professional engineer at some points. So it's really important to make sure you write software that's actually reliable and also fit for purpose. So you want to make sure whenever you program, the problems will be specified very precisely using maybe some kind of API notation, meaning that will tell you exactly the method, like a method headers, like a return type, method name, and also input parameters, things like that. So you want to make sure you're able to read those specification of the problem. Okay, and we're going to use JUnit testing a lot to really ensure the correctness of your code. For those of you who haven't heard about test-driven developments, in case, again, you can go back to 2030. Okay, I'll show to you. 2011, go to 2030, and then you will see that under week number 4 over here. So week number 4 over here talks about test-driven developments. That's really about how to use JUnits. If you really lack the background for JUnits, please take a look and get in touch with me if you got any trouble. All right. And you want to be able to think abstractly, meaning that every time you want to think through some computational problem, you don't necessarily really have to write down the precise Java code. You don't necessarily have to, but you will be able to sketch the relevant ideas rather completely, so you can do some mathematical analysis. That's something I'll keep emphasizing actually in the lecture when I do the visualization and illustration on my iPad. All right, so you can take a look at some video link over here. So, for example, when they interview people in Google and also in many other companies, usually they will give you some problem which intentionally is incomplete. So your future employer will expect you to really hear the problem and then try to have some conversation exchange with them back and forth to really clarify what's exactly the requirements of the problem they want you to solve. And let's say once you clarify all the requirements for the problem and they want you to present a solution, you don't necessarily be required to present your solution in Eclipse, in which case you got lots of help about compilation error. So they might just ask you to go over to the whiteboard in the office and then program your solution there. So that will be the moment of truth. When you actually program at the whiteboard, you're really on your own. You have no help from any tool about how compilable your program is. So that's something that's why you want to also get a kind of exercise as well, which I'll try to show to you during the Q&A. All right, you can take a look at this video and then get some idea. Right? And take advantage of the Q&A section. For Thursday, to be honest with you, it's really difficult for you guys to wake up this early. I know that. Try your best. If it really turns out that we got substantially more attendance on Wednesday afternoon as opposed to Thursday morning, especially if Thursday morning only either nobody show up or very, very few people show up, then we can either find an alternative time or maybe we can simply just collapse the 2 sections into one. We'll see how that goes. But if this is the only time that works for you, show up. All right, just make sure. So I would know that the section is actually available to you. All right. All right, some quick study tips before I talk about briefly of the course. You want to plan your study steadily. So make sure the 3 hours of videos you watch them maybe not as in a single day. Maybe distribute them over the week. Typically, each video clip will take about between 15 to 30 minutes. So I would say watch at least 1 clip per day. Or maybe watch one in the morning and maybe watch one before you go to bed. Something like that, right? Just plan your time, right? And then for the optional Q&A sections, you can attend either one or both. Okay. And then ask questions always, not just in the Q&A, but reach out to me during the office hour. I'll be happy to help. Another thing I would recommend is maybe a little bit personal to everybody. When you watch the video, there will be quite often when I make some verbal remark about some insights into the data structure or into a particular concept, I may not necessarily write them down on my notes. In that case, you may want to consider writing them down yourself, since you can always replay the video for as many times as you like. So I would say take advantage of that. So the first time you watch the video is the best opportunity for you to take some complete notes. And then later on, when you study your lecture, maybe for the tests, for the exam, you can always refer back to your notes. Or even after this course, whenever you want to refer back to the insight about data structure, you can always refer to your notes. I think it's really worth doing. Okay, take notes. Final slides about some tips before I talk more about the course. So general tips about university. Okay, it's let me show you the whole slides over here. Right, it's really important to understand. Well, hopefully you have realized that as well, since you guys have now moved to the second half of the second year. Inspiration is actually more important than perspiration, meaning that getting to the point that you can be creative about solving problems is actually much more important than just working hard. Working hard is really important. Everybody has to work hard in order to get to the point that you can be creative. But I think you want to really work hard to make sure you finish all the basic stuff, but you should just be willing to also happy to go beyond what you're assigned to do. That would be my best advice to you. So for example, you can consider, I think coding bed, if you have heard about coding bed before, they actually got many example Java methods for you to implement. But for those of you who might have been proficient in Java already, coding bed might be too easy for you already, actually, which is a good thing. But I think you may want to consider a website like a LeetCode, where they actually got lots of example interview problems. I'll try to bring some of them, since I'm subscribed to them, I can use some of them just for, for educational purpose. I think that's okay. I will bring some of them, but I cannot really bring too many of them. We got limited time each time for the Q&A. But for those of you who might be interested in doing something extra, feel free to look into LeetCode or other similar website to see how you can do maybe extra problems on your own, maybe every day on a daily basis. And then always be curious about why things work the way they do, and also why things don't work in a particular way. That's something I'll try to explain to you in the lecture as much as possible, but you should always also challenge yourself as well about what if I make slight tweak on this particular data structure, what will be the consequence, right? And also always be willing to try it out, whatever example code I show in the class, in the Eclipse, and play with them, all right? It's really important. All right, from Dove. Will I be using the same problems at both? Yeah, okay, for Wednesday and Thursday, it's a good question. In principle, I should actually use different problems. I cannot commit to say using different problems right now. I think we'll see. Maybe in the first instance, maybe I'll try to talk about different problems, maybe in both sections. So if you really, for those of you who want to attend both Q&A, you can really get advantage. Yeah, I'll try. But sometimes I may have to repeat the same problem. It depends. Okay. All right. Okay, so now guys, that's about everything related to administrations of this course. Do you guys have any final questions or concerns about this course before I speak about this course specifically? Anybody? All right, hearing none, seeing none. Let's talk about this course, okay? It's now about 9:37. I'll try to finish this part within 15 minutes. I'll try, okay? And then I'll let you go, and you can expect the lecture to arrive tomorrow, okay? What is this course about? So data structure, of course. So data structure is really about a systematic way of organizing and accessing data. Basically, so far, the only data structure you have learned about how to build things from scratch is the primitive array, right? You can, primitive array, for example, integer array. this notation over here. Of course, I'm not counting the case where you're using array list or maybe hash table that's already developed for you from the Java API. I'm talking about whatever you have built from scratch. Primitive array is the only thing, or maybe 2D array if you have done that in the first year, or maybe in your 2030. In this course, we're going to show you many different ways of organizing and accessing data. So given a particular data structure, we're going to talk about how do you do insertion, deletion, and also how you get access to a particular part in the data structure. And you want to learn about if we choose a particular data structure, what will be the implication or what will be the consequence in terms of the running time? That's something you will need a serious amount of math to actually solve. That's something we'll get into as well. So these are some example data structure we'll cover. We're going to cover arrays, but we're going to give you some new insights into the array. We're going to cover linked lists, which is a very, very important topic in the programming interview, and stacks and queues, and also maps, specifically hash table, trees and graphs. So trees and graph will happen after the reading week. Okay. And we're going to talk about algorithm. You can think about algorithm is really like any fragment of Java code you write to solve a particular problem, either a method or maybe a helper method. And it's going to be a step-by-step procedure using if conditional loops and etc. Right? And you want to make sure every time you design an algorithm, you have to choose the appropriate data structure. Up to 2030, you don't have much choice. You only use a primitive array, especially if you took the course with me, or maybe with other instructor. Most likely, you only use the primitive array. Maybe sometimes you use some library structure. But now, we have to learn about other ways to really build from scratch your algorithm. Okay, we're going to talk about inserting, deleting, sorting, and searching, especially for sorting. Usually, I like to tell my student that as a CS or maybe software engineering graduates, you are supposed to know at least 5 different ways of sorting an array, at least 5. Okay. In week number 2, we're going to talk about insertion sort and selection sort. So these are the first 2 ones we're going to talk about: insertion sort and selection sort. And then when we cover recursion again, maybe right before the reading week, we're going to talk about another recursive sorting. One is called merge sort. The other one is called quick sort. So we got 4 already. You may have heard about bubble sort, but we don't really cover that in this course. You can definitely look into it if you're interested. And after the reading week, we're going to teach you the data structure about trees. And then after we teach a particular kind of a tree called heap. So there's another sorting algorithm called heap sort. So after finishing this course, you will learn about 5 different sorting algorithms, right? That's something I'm really hoping that you will grasp as much as possible. But there are definitely other sorting strategy as well. But at least know at least 5 before you graduate. I think that's beneficial. And also before you go for the coding interview. All right. And also for searching, we'll talk about also something called binary search when we talk about recursion. We'll see. Okay. Analysis. So how good is your algorithm? So you really want to justify correctness and also efficiency. And for correctness, it's mainly just using JUnit testing to really ensure the correctness of your method to make sure they return the same to return the expected value. However, when we talk about recursive algorithm, recursive method, in that case, we have to also argue about the correctness. In that case, we'll give you a little bit of idea how you can prove by mathematical induction, right? I'm pretty sure you learned about mathematical induction in your other math courses, but now we're going to see how you can apply mathematical induction in the case of programs. That's also interesting to see. And for efficiency, this will be the focus for the first 2 weeks. So for the first week, we'll review and also cover the big O notation. It's called asymptotic upper bounds, mathematical notation. And then for the second week, we're going to apply the big O notation to different programs. Especially, we're going to look at the selection sort and insertion sort, how their running time can be derived using the big O notation, right? All right. Some comments from Masato. We are not covering bubble sort. It's my favorite. Yeah, it's too bad. But let's see. If we really got extra time, then maybe I can mention about bubble sort. All right. Oh, guys, just for your information, it's side notes, right? For those of you who might be interested in hearing about why bubble sort is not the way to go, you can do the following. Okay, it's optional. Go to YouTube. Okay, and search for Obama bubble sort. I believe you can find some interesting video about what Obama's opinion is about bubble sort. All right, in case you're interested. Okay. All right, let me go back over here. Okay, good. Yeah, bubble sort and insertion sort, and yeah, actually, bubble sort is definitely not the way to go. It's well, especially you got other better sorting algorithms available. Okay. All right, let's now take a look at some motivating problems over here. I'll try to, I actually got about 4 to 5, but I'll just go over each one of them very quickly, just to give you some idea. So the idea would be, well, by the way, we are not going to do these kind of problems, this kind of difficulty problem in your programming assignment. That's too much, right? My point is, after you have finished the course, you get the foundation of start tackling such problems. That's my point, okay? Okay, so now let's see this. How would you save the records of a megacity of 10 million residents? So now we're talking about not just 10 resident records, we're talking about 10 million, right? For the entire megacity. And given a particular resident's social insurance number, how fast can you really locate their records, right? That's the question. So what kind of data structure would you use to really store this megacity record? Based on what you have learned so far in 2030, you might just use the primitive array. If I want you to build everything from scratch about the method, right? Primitive array. Of course, you can use the hash table. You can use the tree, maybe class from Java, but that's in some way that's not really developed by you. It's something made available to you. That's something we'll cover later about how you can build such things from scratch. But let's now take a look at one implementation, right, for this. Based on what you have learned in the in 2030. Okay, let's take a look at this method here. So let's say we got a method called find, and we want to return some resident record, and we got an input parameter SIN number, social insurance number. Let's say the social insurance number can uniquely identify a residence record if they exist in a database. So what we're having is like this. We got some database array, a very giant array. In that case, what we have is we got 0 all the way to, well, 0, 1, all the way to, since we are talking about 10 million, so that'll be 10 million minus 1. So that'll be the largest index in the array, right? You can think about, you can assume every one of them has stored maybe some records inside, maybe. All right, so let's take a look at the algorithm, which should not be surprising to you. Go from the smallest index, go until database.length minus 1, right? Go from left to right. And if the current one that we are looking at, for example, over here, has its SIN number matching the input, then we're going to return this. All right? So now the question is, how efficient is this algorithm? Okay? How efficient? Okay? In terms of the number of iterations. I'm only trying to give you guys an informal idea. So for the more proper discussion, we'll do that in the lecture. Okay. So let me ask you guys this question: what would be the best case, and what would be the worst case? Okay. You guys want to give it a try? So hopefully that's not too bad for you to answer. So what will be the best case in terms of the number of iteration, right? And what will be the worst case in terms of the number of iterations? Okay, awesome. From the answer I've seen, it's straightforward. So best case should be just 1. If you are so lucky, the one you're looking for is simply just here. Only 1 iteration, and you're done. And in the worst case, it will be 10 million. Either it's here, or maybe the SIN number is simply doesn't exist in the database. In which case, you even have to then in that case you have to make sure you have gone through in the entire array and then exit from the loop, right? Similar. So that'll be 10 million for the worst case, right? From 2030 and 1021, we said this will be acceptable. However, after this course, it will not be acceptable anymore, especially given that we are assuming that we're going to store the record for and make a CD, right? So that's not the way to go. What we're going to learn after the reading week is something called balanced binary search tree. Don't worry too much about its detail. I want to give you just some idea, some look ahead, some heads up. So you can imagine that rather than storing the records linearly, like one by one, sequentially, like this, we're going to store all the records into a tree structure, okay? And then the mathematical property tells us if you actually got a binary search tree that's actually maintained to be balanced. If you got n different data items actually stored in the tree, it's guaranteed the height over here is going to be log n base 2. So now if we actually store the 10 million records inside, right, it's guaranteed the height of the tree is going to be log 10 million, which is roughly 23. So what does that mean? If you want to search for a particular SIN number, what in the case of binary search tree, you will only every iteration you only have to make a decision, either go to left or right. So now I go to left or go to right, go to left, go to right, and all the way to, in the worst case, to the bottom of the tree. However, the height of the tree is guaranteed to be 23. So that means you will need at most 23 iterations to really find out what a record is. So what we have done is we have drastically improved the performance from 10 million to 23. How exciting is that, right? So I think that's something, keep in mind, that's something we'll see after the reading week when we talk about trees. So that's a very typical searching problem in CS, in which case you have to be sure about how to build a balanced tree structure in order for you to make sure you can take advantage of the fact that the running time for the searching will only be proportional to the height of the tree. That's something we'll see later. All right, hopefully that makes sense to some of you. If not, that's okay. We'll definitely talk more details later. And then the next two problems is pretty straightforward. Basically, the first one, we just want to plan the itinerary maybe for travel, right? You want to go from maybe Vancouver maybe to Toronto, right? What are the possible itineraries available based on the airline company, right? Basically, we want to build a graph data structure and then find a path, right? That's one example. And also, for those of you who drive, if you want to look up something in the GPS, for example, I want to go from York campus, Keele campus to Glendon campus. So if I try to Google map, it's going to give me, and also I can specify I want to avoid highways. It can give me 1, 2, and 3 possible routes. And this is the best one in terms of the time, right? So basically you want to have a sense about how to find the shortest path, in the graph of all the between all the intersection of the roads in order to find the destination path, right? That's just another example. That's something we also learn in the final part for the course about how to build graph. Okay, finally, I want to give you guys a little bit more, just one more set of examples about how useful data structure can be, especially for the tree structure. So this is a typical problem. Actually, it's has been a problem since forever, which is about whenever you want to compile, for example, your C code or maybe C++ code. Usually the compiler has been implemented with some very smart features. Whenever you write some programs in C, for example, the compiler will actually identify the pattern in your writing and try to optimize it, meaning that you want to improve its performance as much as possible. So let me give you one example here. So that's a diagram. I'll give you the zoom in version when I post the slides, but let's take a look at one example here. Let's some fun exercise for you guys to consider. Okay. I'll try to conclude this lecture in 5 minutes. I'll try. Okay, I know we are running out of time soon. Can we just consider this fragment of code? So I'll guide you through the syntax. Okay, B is assigned to some value, C is assigned to some value, A is assigned to some value. Okay, and we are running a loop, and the loop has the lower bound I, upper bound N, and the loop counter is simply just I. All right. You can visualize what the corresponding for loop might be like in Java. And for every iteration, we're going to first of all read some external inputs for D. Okay, and then we're going to reassign A to be this particular expression. So that's a loop. Let's say a user actually writes this program, and then they want to compile that into some assembly code, for example, right? That's for machine execution. Can you see any scope of optimization in terms of minimizing the number of evaluation for the expressions? Guys, you can stare at that for a little bit and then share your thoughts. Anything. Don't be afraid to be wrong. Type on the chat, or you can feel free to speak up if you want to. I can repeat the question again, yes. This program over here is written by some user. The question is, can you see any way to rewrite the program in such a way that it can improve its performance in terms of minimizing the number of expression evaluations that we have to do? That's my question. I can see some very clever answer. Precalculate B times C, very good. B and C are static. Static or not doesn't really matter because they're just local variables. Doesn't matter if they're static or not. This language over here, well, you can think about it, it's more like a user-defined syntax. My point is, there is a once you get a more advanced, you can even design your own programming language. You don't have to stick to the language that's already designed for you. But anyway, the language here is not important, right? It's I already explained to you how it will work. All right, you guys are on the right path. Basically, you want to maybe calculate something, not necessarily for every iteration. We can calculate something beforehand. That's kind of the general consensus, right? Okay, very good. So we are, you guys are very intelligent. You identify that somehow this particular expression over here is stable. In the sense that B, C, and the constant 2, they never got modified in the loop. You can see A got modified, B also got modified, but B and C do not get modified. So, however, the current one is saying that every time you're trying to do an iteration, you have to reevaluate 2 times B times C for every iteration. If you got a million iterations, you're going to evaluate this a million times. Is it possible to make it better? Well, why don't we factor this out outside the loop to evaluate just once, store the result into some variable, and just call the variable inside the loop. All right, that's basically the idea. So now you can think about, eventually we want to optimize the code into this particular, this one over here, right? You can see what we have is, we got 2 times B times C, and then it's stored into temp. And there's a typo here, so we simply say multiply by temp. That's the kind of optimization we can do. However, so far we're only doing this process manually for optimization. We go from here, identify what's stable, and then we go to here. However, is it possible to let computer do that for us? Indeed. Okay. So there is something called compiler technology. Compiler. Okay. So for compiler, for those of you who might be interested, EECS2011 talks about exactly the compiler technology and process and theory. Okay. Anyway, very quickly, to really let computer do this for you, we have you guys didn't really take EECS 2001. I don't think the engineering student will take it. Well, anyway, so there is something called context-free grammar, meaning that whenever you want to design any programming language, you have to give it a grammar. And once you get a grammar, and also you got some instance program, you can generate the so-called parse tree over here. So this is a parsing process. And very quickly, you can see this is a tree structure. At the top, we got a program. And for the program, we got 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 different lines. 1, 2, 3, and 4. 4 different constructs. And then, for example, you can see B is assigned to something over here, correspond to this particular subtree over here, and etc. And also this part over here about the loop, the subtree correspond to this structure over here. So we, in some way, we have parsed the source program over here into a tree. And why would this be useful? And as a programmer, you will be able to say you can somehow traverse, go over every node in the tree in a way so that you can identify what expression is stable and then transform this particular tree into just another tree. And this another tree over here, for example, you can see we have introduced this particular subtree over here, which is about a temporary variable outside the loop. Right, that's one example. And this kind of tree transformation requires tree traversal done using recursion. So that's why I said recursion is so important for this course. And once you got this transformed tree, you can simply pretty print it. In that case, you get an optimized program. So from the external user's point of view, it looks like computer is so smart to actually go from here to here. But what's really happening under the behind the scene is about parsing the program into some tree and then do some tree transformation and then pretty print back. That's what's really happening. And you will be able to, you will have the foundation of doing such compilation once you finish this course. Okay, but if you're interested in doing exactly that, 4302 is what you can take later. All right, a final example, which I will just take 1 minute and I'll let you, I'll summarize and I'll let you go. Okay, the final one is about some program translation problem. For example, you may simply just do some object-oriented program. You can see you got class, you got attributes, and also you got methods. You can translate it into the relational database queries, right? You can create different tables, and also you can, just different tables over here corresponding to the classes and attributes, right? That's just another application for using the tree data structure. Because for the OO program, you can parse that into a tree and then do some tree transformation to the tree corresponding to the SQL database program, and then print back. Just another example for using the tree data structure. So I think the tree data structure is really, really useful for many applications. All right, guys, I think that's about what I want to say. It's now 10 a.m. Okay, I think that's it about what I want to say today. Do you guys got any final questions before I let you go? Anybody? All right, you guys have been a little bit very quiet, very silent. That's okay, but hopefully everything's clear to you. All right, I'll let you go now, and then you can wait for me to reach out to you about future things, about the course. Guys, most importantly, stay safe and stay healthy. All right, and then enjoy the course. It's going to be a fun semester, I'm sure. All right, you guys take care. Bye-bye.